In the late 18th century, the British were using Australia as a giant open-air jail. The Americans had Alcatraz and the Brits had Australia. Can you believe it? Mr. Chopra, we have decided to sentence you to 20 years of rigorous imprisonment in Tihar jail. Or you can go to sunny Australia, your choice. Wow, I don't know. Do I get to travel business or economy?
Hey, bop, bop, the traveling bop, 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 the traveling bop. Hey, 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 let's go traveling into the daylight. Let's go traveling. Let's go traveling.
I just had my brekkie and I got an invite for a barbie with some tinnies and my cozies and something for the mozzies. If you hadn't guessed, I'm talking like an Aussie because I'm in Australia. In a word, Sydney is gorgeous. The city and the people. Just as the convicts of old molted and became the beautiful people of today, this one-time penal colony has turned its alleyways into art projects. There's a vibrant art scene, cafe culture, a dreamy waterfront. It's true, I fell in love with Sydney. Laid back and chilled out. That's the Aussie spirit. And what better place to experience it than right here in beautiful Sydney. I'm at Sydney Harbour. I have the Opera House right behind me, so finding 10 things to do should be a breeze. If you want to see Sydney and you only have 3 hours to do it, all you need to do is take a trip up the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Guys, I'm here with Dean and Ash, and I know we look like we're about to go off into outer space, but what we're doing is climbing the Sydney Bridge. Right, guys?
Let's go!
Great to have you on board.
Thank you. To get up the double steel arch of the Harbour Bridge, you have to latch yourself onto a steel cable that runs along the girding. This may seem like a needless safety precaution when you're still at street level, but as you climb, you'll be glad to have something that holds you to the actual structure. Kind of like an iron umbilical cord. So, no matter what anyone says, I say these are the best seats in the house. If you take a sneak peek, you'll see the working harbour laid out under you. But first you have to trudge on narrow walkways and gangplanks, and those never-ending stairs. The things I do to impress a girl. That's it, right? Right there? That's the top?
Nearly, yeah, we're nearly there. Very close, very close.
Do I get a medal when I make it to the top?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
No? It takes 1,332 steps to make it to the summit. But it was such an enjoyable walk, I didn't even realize I was getting a workout.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Here we are.
Ash, you shouldn't have.
How good is this? Yes!
This
Good.
is incredible.
Isn't it?
Okay guys, if there was ever such a thing as a 360-degree view, this is it.
Hands down.
You can see everything.
Hands down.
I can see my home from here.
Hey!
Hi, Mom.
Hey!
Check it out. I totally managed to look like I'm moving in slow motion. Eat your heart out, Bollywood. I got style, and I got Ash. The Aussie version. When it's all bright sunshine and sparkling waters, Sydney is just as pretty as a picture. But it does have a somewhat dark past. By the late 1700s, the British had a serious problem with their convicts. They'd run out of place to keep them. So in 1788, the British decided to claim Australia as a penal colony. Now, as far as prisons go, this place is pretty sweet. But the first convicts didn't have a very easy time when they got here, and I'm going to find out just how tough while sipping a glass of champagne. Yup, it's going to be a rough ride indeed, on an impeccably restored ferry boat to Goat Island, passing some of the ritziest real estate in Sydney Harbour. I wish my great-great-grandfather had been a crook who'd been shipped down under. That could have been my house.
For those of you who haven't been to Goat Island, it's only 10 to 15 minutes west of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And once we get there, I reckon we'll have a bit of food.
Our tour guide is a very knowledgeable and animated gentleman, but that last part about the food, that's what really got my attention.
All right, anyone else for champagne, folks?
The iconic Sydney skyline, and spanning the water is the Harbour Bridge. From down here, I can see why the locals lovingly call it the coat hanger. The original convicts arrived in Australia by boat, just like this. I have a feeling they didn't have one of these to keep them company though. These guys do not make it easy for you to focus on the early hardships of a penal colony. Let's see, lavish spread, open bar. Man, life is tough. Okay, while I'm eating, everyone else, open your history books.
Well, all the way back in the late 1830s, the Europeans, the British, came on the island. They had one mission. Their mission was to build a ginormous sandstone magazine to hold all of the British gunpowder held in Sydney.
And though they handled dangerous explosives, the convicts lived in deplorable conditions. Tiny mobile homes where they were squeezed in like sardines. Not really my style.
Get me out of here! Someone? Anyone? Can you get me out of here, Margot? Please?
Hello? The old-timers' powder bunker is a modern-day echo chamber. It's another story of Sydney from this perspective. Perfectly preserved, but a flip side you don't generally get to see. I can see why the harbour master chose to build his mini mansion right here on top of this mountain, because you have this panoramic view of Sydney in front of you. Now you have ultra-modern Sydney on one side, and then you've got all the history of Australia here. The early convict settlers who actually built Sydney from the ground up. And you get a sense of the suffering that they went through and the hardship that they went through to actually start building Sydney and make it what it is today. And now it's up to me to sail this ship back into port. Everyone is counting on me. So I'm just going to abandon my post and check out the sights instead. If you had $100 million to spend, what would you do? I know, you could build the Sydney Opera House. Now you've probably seen this incredible building in films or in photographs, but I'm actually going to go inside and see what the magic's all about. It's home to Opera Australia, the Australian Ballet, the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and the Sydney Theatre Company. I'm at the entrance to the concert hall, which is the grandest of the halls at the Sydney Opera House. And I haven't been inside yet, but if inside looks anything like this, then I'm in for a treat. What? We don't have tickets? Why didn't... Alright guys, I'm not going inside, but I've got a pretty spectacular view to enjoy in the meantime. The ribs of the building support the shells, which are all segments of a single 75-meter radius sphere. Hey guys, we're at the Sydney Opera House at the Studio Theatre, and it may be a small stage, but you're going to watch a big act. Ready? I am hungry, even a chocobar would do. Okay, I guess I need to work on my act a little bit, but hey, how many people get to perform at the Sydney Opera House, even if it's to an audience of none? When I peel an orange, I usually make a mess. Jorn Utzon came up with the design of the Sydney Opera House. Unfortunately, the project wasn't without controversy. Jorn Utzon never finished it. In fact, he never even came back to Sydney to see his finished work. Now, this room was the first to be adapted to his specifications and serves as a memoriam of his genius and his great work.
Let's go traveling. Let's go traveling.